Let's get down to business news now with Madison Reedy. Hi, Madison.
Hello.
PGG Wrightson, so their full year results are out today. How did they do?
Yeah, so PGG Wrightson is the country's largest rural services company. It sells everything from gumboots to fertiliser. Take your pick if you need some. So the headline number for their full financial year did actually look pretty good. It made a net profit of $132 million.
Didn't they sell something this year, though?
Yeah, they did. So actually the operating profit, really the reason that they had such a record profit this year was because of a gain on the sale of their seeds and grain mainstay business to a Danish firm called DLF Seeds for $134 million. So really the underlying number for their operating profit, it was actually down by about nearly a third to $24 million. So not so good under the hood there. Now the company says that it's struggling because farmers are doing it tough at the moment with the likes of the Mycoplasma bovis disease and also tougher lending restrictions on farmers too. It means that they're not spending as much, so they're not buying from companies like PGG Wrightson, and they're feeling the wrath there too. Now, because of that, the outlook for PGG did look pretty grim. Its chairman, Roger Finlay, says that the impact of M. bovis on dairy and beef and uncertainty regarding regulatory change affecting agriculture is impacting confidence levels in the rural sector, and we're seeing a more cautious approach to investment and expenditure from our customers. So that pretty much sums it up for PGG there.
And then throw Fonterra in on top of that.
Absolutely.
Housing data. I see what you've done here. A spring in the step of housing data.
So we're still in winter, but the housing market is moving on forward throughout the seasons of the year, and it does have a bit of a spring in its step according to the Real Estate Institute's latest house price index. That rose 1.5% for the year to July after a bit of an uptick, just about 0.02% of a lift in the month of July. Now that's taken the national median house price to $575,000. That's a lift of $25,000 there, although prices were flat in Auckland. But house sales have been rising. They actually saw a rise in the month of July for the first time since November last year. So in about 8 months, we haven't seen a rise in the volume of property sales. Nationwide, the number of properties sold rose 2.5%, but in Auckland alone, they were actually up 6.6%. Now, that is encouraging economists to think that there is now a spring in the step of the housing market and that it's finally on its way up after being quite soggy and sour recently. And obviously with interest rates at historic lows at the moment, that is supposedly going to push more people into the housing market and make people get more mortgages and buy more homes. Now, talking about mortgages, the Reserve Bank has actually been doing some statistics behind the scenes on how large people's mortgages actually are. Now, their figures show that a third of mortgages to first home buyers are 5 times or more that of their income. Just let that sink in for a moment. That's pretty big. But the Reserve Bank says that they're not actually all that worried about this. In fact, this is actually eased off, so they're less so worried about it. They obviously have tools like the loan-to-value ratio restrictions, which basically keeps banks lending to risky first home buyers in check. They say that they will look to ease LVRs. We've told you about that before, but they obviously they've been on record saying that they do want to keep LVRs as a tool in their kit to ensure that this debt-to-income ratio doesn't swell any larger.
Let's do a quick whip around the markets too.
The NZX Top 50 Index closed down just 0.17% tonight. That's a fall of just 18 points to close at 10,854. The New Zealand dollar, that's buying at 64.5 US cents, 95.4 to the Australian and 53.4 to the British pence.
Thanks, Maddie. That's Madison Reedy with our business update.